Oh, once again, it's been a while, but hello. I definitely know I'm alive. I'm not going to check. I'm going to say whatever. It's been 36 seconds. I'm counting. Shows it all. It's right clear. Still looking up as if I'm. You get. Ah, do you know I hear that? Nope, still looking up. I hear that. I'm getting that right all the time. Rather than looking at you. Let's see if I can do that. There's better. Not what I want, but need to get that height sorted. Don't look like I'm looking up all the time. That pisses me off, bro. I'm looking. Right, I probably am now, which is actually good. Hello, we've got somebody in there. Hello, Captain Stinker. How the fuck are you doing? So it's been a while since been on live, and just thought, come on, let's say how shit the fucking world is doing. Not quite, because we are, as the anti-globalists, we the people, that is, are winning, and we are doing fucking brilliant. Get in there. Can't remember you, Captain Stinker, but I love going on the Patriot sites, even if I don't agree with everything they say or they say. It's all good, isn't it? At least, generally speaking, we're all on the fucking same page. We all want the same things. We all want our country back. However you see it, whether you're a Brit or an Englishman. James Goddard, good man. At least he's doing something, right? Zero News. Here's Timmy, rarely, and don't go on James much either, or Zero News. So, but I do see. Let's see, who do I go on a lot when I'm live? Penny. Don't watch them all. All of them you're talking about. But I don't tend to go on them live. Uh, Penny when I want to lighten up. Yeah. Might talk to Paz live sometimes. Mostly, if I'm going live, I'll talk to the likes of Pit Active or on Rumble. It'll be mostly on uh, full English. Yeah. Don't know Penny very well, but I like to chat with her on YouTube. It's a fun channel, isn't it? But I like all the other guys that you're talking about. We're all patriots, aren't we, mate? And we need to support each other. Maybe I should need to do it a bit more. Yeah, she does stay up for a bit. But that's fuck all to do. I mean, I can usually when I do mine, I'm up till early hours in the morning. So that might even happen tonight. So bow out when you need to. All right, Captain. No, I don't need to be careful with Bunny, mate. She's good. She's all good. Penny's good people. Penny is really good people. It's just like me and you, mate. Honestly, it don't matter whether active don't like her or not. Yeah, active does a different thing. and they're both good people for their own reasons. Yeah, and they're doing what they can for what they can. I think actives obviously far more active and actually doing far more, and I would support active 100%. Penny, I'll drop down and stop watching because other people are more important as far as I'm concerned, especially people like active who are actually making a difference. I mean, how can you not love active, right? I don't know about trolling all of the channels. I don't give a shit. Uh, you might be right. What do I know? Right? Fucking hell, I barely look at social media as it is. I am absolutely incompetent with social media, right? I'm certainly not tech savvy. I do this for a bit of fucking thing because sometimes I just want to speak out and say to people out there and anybody who's watching is, you know, I probably agree with you, Love the little bit and active, especially when them two are together, right? Yeah, yeah. It's a special team, that to win it. Yeah. Mission Impossible and Active Patriot. Getting, even though Little Bet's a Brit. You gotta forgive him though, right? You probably consider yourself a Brit as well, do you, Cat? I do not. I'm English 100% through and through. And I can explain why. And why I'm not a Brit. I think I have done anyway in some of my in the other ones. Yeah, I agree, Captain. Active and Little Bit are top. They're fucking special. They are special. They are doing something. They are active about it, and they are fucking do it. I wish I could. I really do wish I could. But them two people are special. I agree. Cheers, Captain. Love to them both. So, what am I going to talk about tonight? Okay, now. We've got a lot going on, haven't we, in the world? Yeah, yes, that's it, Captain. Yeah. I'm not British because there is no country called Britain. You're right, it's an ethnicity. I'm English. Yeah, absolutely true. It's not that I hate the idea, hate the British or anything, even though I do as an organisation because British is so inclusive, and we all hate that way, don't we, nowadays? Inclusive, that it allows the whole world to come here and in 1 year become part of our parliament. Now, that's something you want to invite your enemies to, isn't it? In 1 year, you can come and be a part of our parliament and make changes. Get the fuck out of here. That is wrong, man. It's got to be right. How can it be right? You know, I think you're the second person that's ever joined me on live. But I don't do it for that. I do it as a sort of a general in the record for the viewpoints and stuff, and just share it. Whether you keep it, it's kept as an historical record or whatever, right? It it's fine. That's the way it should be. Our government has sold us out. Even our Queen sold us out. Our Queen sold us out so much so that King Charles is going to vow a new oath that has never been spoken before. And it was written a few years ago by funny enough, the SAGE group, which ran the lockdown. And they're going to tell us that there is no Church of England, there is no sovereignty of the Englishmen, and there is no more any King's Bench. So the King will no longer back us up in a court of law, like the Queen did when we had Queen's Bench, and she did, even though right up until her death, there was a Queen's Bench, and we could use that to defend ourselves and get our property back. King Charles is going to destroy that. He's going to sell us out. He's already stated that his friends are now Muslim, and that whitey is no longer to be tolerated. Makes you wonder about what he thinks of himself as, white, black. What the fuck? They are, right? Being royals. Well, they're not dragons, are they? Because they need we the people and all of our ingenuity and tech to be the real dragon. Right? Even though we're not the dragons we used to be. But yeah, they certainly sold us out. As for identity and the English, under international law, and this has been proven and backed up, and the UN, under international law and the Indigenous Peoples Act, recognised the English as English, and therefore the English Constitution Party was allowed to be created, even though the parliamentary ombudsman, sorry, not the ombudsman, the organisations for enrolling roles of parties for Parliament had to recognise the English Constitution Party, even though they already recognised the English Democratic Party, which I was once a member, but seeing as though the English Democratic Party don't want us to be recognised as English, you have to say no to them. Having a shit your queen, I mean, a lot of people think like that. Charles is the one who announced the Great Reset. Yeah, absolutely. And he's also promoted not only the Great Reset of September 22, he also announced the green agenda and all that entails. I don't know if that's true that you couldn't be claimed to be in English because you was born here, even under the Constitution. You can claim it, and if you say if you believed in our ways and customs, and that's how you wanted to live, even some of the customs and not all of the customs, you could actually claim you are English and take an oath of that fact. No, you took that oath of that fact. And even for, say, 7 generations, there's no reason you couldn't be under the Constitution that your family could not be part of the whole Parliament, even, and run for it under the Constitution. But when you can come over here and in a year become part of that and become a part of Parliament really quickly, then you're inviting all your enemies to become your rulers. That's just ridiculous. I agree, people should be proud of where they come from. Absolutely. But if you want to take on a country because you love it and believe in all of its traditions and customs, and you want to become a part of that and live that, I have no problem with it. But I agree, you're not. It's what we call WASPs, isn't it? White Anglo-Saxon, you know? So there's ethnicity and nationality. Yeah. It's like a lot of people don't believe in tribalism. Yeah. I'm all for tribalism. I'll tell you why. My tribe is firstly my family, my friends, my community, which can grow outwards to further into the city. What's wrong with that? What's wrong now as a tribe? It's just an expression, isn't it? It's you can't call yourself a tribe, but you can call yourself a Liverpudlian, right? You can't be tribalist because it makes you a nationalist and far right. Well, look, shite. It's a specific calling, you know, for retrograde nihilism, where you turn on and say that's just bad. It's bullshit. In a few hundred years, we'll be all Muslims, maybe, but I doubt it. I doubt it. Yeah, fuck the Muslim tears. I mean, it's just wrong, isn't it, mate? You know, the tears of the Muslims, we can't tolerate. It's just wrong, and it shouldn't be tolerated. I mean, it's hard to turn around and say we shouldn't react with violence and stuff, because who's going to make that choice? Them to move first and attack us with violence, and then we react and have to react and defend ourselves, right? Or we do it with a political will, you know, to remove them anyway because they won't make an oath to say they're English. Fine, fuck off, go home. And I think they should. And I think more of us in this country would actually support them in their own home, you know, even financially, you know, to make their home even a better place. Yeah, I did know that, and you're right, it is wrong, and it is an invasion. I agree with you. Did you see the TikTok videos with them coming across with their AK-47s on certain high boats? And then once they landed, they carried crates of munitions and weapons and off onto the shore, up the shores with vans. Did you see that? It was on TikTok. Go and have a look back. If you've got TikTok, go and have a look back. I don't have TikTok, so I haven't actually seen it. But the people who was telling us, you know, I got a funny feeling they was telling the truth. It was seen a few years ago, them coming up on in Dover a few years ago, and offered some specific loads of land at the time, you know. Yeah, I know about the Kalagi plan and that. Yeah, yeah, yeah. It's real, and it's obviously it's real because they're acting it out. They're absolutely acting out the Kalagi plan. It's a fact. It's a fact if you've read it, and I have read it. I've been at this game looking back at all that type of stuff since what was it, 2005. And before, I just didn't know it before, but I was already looking at it. 2005 came, that was a different story. Yeah. One race, homogeneous race. All a little treacle coloured whiteness. Yeah. Full of shite. Yeah. Homogeneous breeds disease, illness, and content. Variety is actually the spice of life and where the utmost creativity from all, from looking at different ways, is the way to be. And it's meant to be that way. Like Muhammad Ali once said, black beds go with black beds, red beds go with red beds, blue beds go with blue beds. Why would you not want to go with a white bed? I find them far more attractive. Can't help myself. They just are. Yeah, it's a fact. Why would you have to be anti-Semitic for that to be a fact? It's just nonsense to think that that's the case. It's ridiculous. The idea of anti-Semitic and the ADL is what gives us political correctness and the old woke agenda which we have today. Now, all of that, as we know, is just a catalyst to fucking absolute destruction of all society. Now, the ADL needs to be removed. Political correctness has to be removed. And we have to go back to its simple fact is equality is the thing. If you're all equal, you don't need the ADL. You don't need the BLM. You don't need any other thing because you are simply under the law of equality. And that is the English Constitution. It's there. It's simple, right? We don't need to bring all the races in. That's what creates division, and it's a typical government construct which loves to construct separatism so they can control more by division. That way, it gives them a reason to be who they are and create more jobs within government internal uh, ideal bullshit crap fucking nonsense. Well, actually, the Jewish race is well tainted already, and if you look what happened during the pandemic, you will find that in Israel, uh, the Israeli people were treated far more harshly than anyone else on the planet. Even the Canadians, the New Zealanders, the Chinese, and the Australians. The Israelis were actually treated far worse with ankle bracelets, and all of them had to have the four jabs at that point. Whether they've all had the fifth jab now, I'm not sure, but all of them, 100% had the jabs in Israel. They were so vilely treated without any rights, and all the shoutings and ramblings, they were all pushed into taking it. Now, I don't know if exactly all of them had their jobs or there was some ways they could find a way out of it. I was never able to speak to them. I heard a few of them talking about it and that sort of oppression that was going through. But you have to feel for them. I've known a few Jewish people in my life, and they're beautiful people, which certainly they're just working class like me and they don't want to push anything on any of that. It's ridiculous to think so. Now, you look at Soros, who sold many of his own Jewish people out so he could survive the war. People say, well, it was war, it was okay because you have to survive, and he was just a boy. Yeah, fuck off. Little come on, he's stringing up that cunt, Soros. No, that's true. You won't see any Muslims seeking asylum in Israel. The Ashkenazi Jews, yeah, 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 absolutely. And where did they come from? It was from Georgia. Some will tell you it was from like the south east of God. Where are we now? Talking about the fucking war that's going on. Uh, of the Ukraine. Uh, and the Kagans. You remember the Kagans from the film Highlander? Yeah. Now Kagan means general, and then you had the Gan or Ger, who was the absolute leader, uh, which also means angry man, as a leader, as a warrior leader, and that's where it comes from. And then German means angry man, and it's from a Sumerian, and that's where the translation comes. But it was said to be the 13th tribe that accepted Judaism. Not they were born Jews, but they accepted Judaism as the greatest truth of that at that time, and that was before Christianity, way before Christianity. And they became the 13th tribe, and they was known as the Khazars. The Zionist Jews, the Zionist usually aimed at Christians who support Jews. So to say a Zionist Jew seems a bit nonsensical, because the Zionist is those that support the Jews and what they believe, such as the Zionists who are Christians that support the Jews in what they want for the future. I agree, Zelensky. Zelensky, you have to remember, you can't call him Zelensky anymore, because if you call him Zelensky, then you get arrested because you use the Z, because remember, he banned the Z. So there is no Zelensky anymore. It has to be Zelensky, because he banned the Z. Yeah, he is in the Israeli pocket. Absolutely. It's obvious, isn't it? I agree with you. I mean, look at the political people he's got around him. And yeah, they're all said to be Nazis, right? Well, that was true of Hitler, right? Being a Rothschild great grandson, even though he wasn't accepted, his father was a bastard son of a Rothschild. But yet, the Rothschild Bank was the only one that was allowed to keep going during the Nazi war. All others were taken away. I mean, you only have to look at what was it? What do they call him? Well, the Lord in the House of Lords. He keeps coming into Parliament in the Commons, into the Commons now and then. Oh God, what do they call him? It's actually a German name, but he changes one of the letters, to make it sound fucking English, and it's not. And yet he's a lord in our fucking parliament. And all he goes on about is the fucking Germans this, Germans that, and I want reparations because Hitler stole all of his family's banking money, right? Yeah. Fuck's sake. Yeah, that is actually true. That anybody who supposes Zionists as Israel for all as under the Balfour Declaration, and that I absolutely agree. But it generally doesn't include Israelis. So it's usually Christians that support the Israeli or the Jew, right? And I ain't got a problem either way. If that's what you believe, it's not my cup of tea, and I've got, some thoughts about other views. But before anything, I think that might be a bit strong. I've seen plenty of the Israelis who turn around and say, "Now, fuck all that shit." Do you know what I mean? All we want is peace and stuff, and we want peace with the Muslims, and we're sick and tired of the arguments of war against the Muslims and that. It's there, and there's many of them that stand up against that and just want peace. You don't have to look at the media to understand the Jewish faith. You don't have to look at the media to see the truth. Uh, Even though I understand what you're saying, and that's a fact that it's all blocked. But you have to travel a little bit deeper and maybe read a little. Have I got any? I'm just trying to think of what books and that I've got here. Uh, I can't think of any, but there was a particular guy, a black guy, who was talking about the difference between, like you said, the Ashkenazi and the Sephardists, yeah, Jews, right? Yeah, and why there was, and how it spread, yeah, and the Ashkenazi went north, and they became the 13th tribe. Uh, I can look it up on, maybe I'll put it in the comments and that later, or in the community page. And I'll put a link in where you can hear this audio discussion about it. It's fantastic. Uh, it's a cool man who just enlightened me to this fucking thing. And now the Ashkenazis travelled through the Norths and the Nordic areas, the Northmen, which I am. And how do you know whether I am not a Jew or not? Right? I mean, I do know myself, right? Because I know my family's history and where they came from, which actually came from Ireland many years ago. But I considered myself an Englishman, nothing else. That the Irish side's lost to me, even though anytime I hear something about the history of Ireland or even the music playing, it gets me, and drives me. No, the history is not always written about it. It's often it's written in pages which are not for the victor to see, and an actual fact. They're kept, hopefully, till a time when people can see them with more clarity, and that goes on, and has gone on for thousands upon thousands of years. And I believe that's why many of the pages, like ancient documents we've found, such as the what they call them, the Dead Sea Scrolls and such, were put away like that because I believe Hadrian was as he attacked all the Jews. Now there were all Jews at the time, and this is the time when Hadrian attacked Israel. Is when all the 12 tribes united as one and became the tribe of Judah. When it was not true, there was the tribe of Dan, there was tribe of Bishop, the Mananesh, the 12 different names for these tribes, but were always united under one cause, where they even created a martial art, which today is Krav Maga, which is it's not bad. It's not bad art. It's direct and simple, not a bad martial art, but it's gone on for a long time. This sort of thing, these changes is when every time this sort of thing happens, when people unite around one banner instead of the 12 and keep their identity, is when history starts to become lost. And it's a careful study, which has been carefully studied, that prove that this is true. So Jewish tribe, the Jews, yeah, are not all Jews. That's a fact. There are many of them that actually keep their own tribe, whether it's Levi, Manasseh, Ephraim, whichever, right? And they know their tribe and their own prayers and stuff, and they keep it, and they say these in private, and they keep the faith. That was especially well known during the wars in Spain, when the Jews were absolutely attacked. During was I forget the time. It was the dates. Damn, there's films about it. Small 1950 films where they made these 1950s, 60s, where they talk about how they had to stay alive and hide themselves as lords and ladies of the Spanish nobility, even though they were Jews, and any Jew that was found that was actually killed during that time. And that happened in many places throughout Europe in different times. And it's weird that why is it the Jews were so oppressed? Is it just because they were Jews, or was there something more to it? Now, which is intolerable that these were always made clear throughout the historical text, especially like the Inquisition and stuff. Who can trust the Inquisition? What the Torah and the Talmud teaches, etc. Just so I'll have to go back up. Is anyone else? Right, okay. But you won't find any real information about the Jewish faith and what really goes on, because you know who owns the media. Yeah, we all know who owns the media. Yeah, and that is definitely a fact. Everything that is true is wiped from the web. Now, I don't believe that. I think that's impossible. What the Torah and the Talmud teaches us, or teaches, etc. So, history is always written by the history, as is commonly known and taught within that state, is definitely bad. That's a fact. But there are other states and other countries which will teach a different version, and you have to learn to read between the lines and look at other text journals from priests and stuff. And if you've a knack for history and you really want to know, you can actually go and look at this, which is far wider than you can actually imagine. Far wider. Yeah. Yeah, it's nice to talk to other people. Cheers, chaps. Have you ever watched Dr. Mink Call You Up? Yeah, I have seen The Last Battle. In fact, the fifth episode actually made me fucking cry. Because if that fifth chapter, right, was true, and I'm still working on finding out who produced it and trying to find out any biases or not, which I've not been able to find out yet. But I'm still looking at that to find out that. But I tell you what, watching the fifth fucking chapter on the Europa, The Last Battle, I fucking cried. Do you remember it? Do you remember it? I can't fucking believe it, man. I had not seen it like that before. And the actual footage they showed, it fucking slayed me, man. I tell you, it fucking slayed me. Oh, man. Yeah. Do you remember the fifth? About what was going on in Germany at the time before the war and during. And how all that happened. And I was fucking heartbroken, man. I couldn't believe it. I really couldn't. What the Torah and the Talmud teaches. I mean, the Torah is simple. It's the Old Testament, right? All right, Matt. It was nice talking to you. Thank you, and thanks for the stimulation. Cheers, Captain Stinker. Catch you around some other time, yeah? Thanks. Have fun. Good night. I'm just going to chat shit on my own and tell a story, right, about our constitution and this country's obligation to duty. But you can always watch it later if you want. Anyway. So, Captain Stinker. Thanks for the questions. Thanks for the questions. So what is the Constitution? Why do we have duties to the Constitution? And why should we obey the Constitution and its duties, or our duties to the Constitution? That's a fucker of a question, isn't it? Especially today. Well, let's do this on the top of our heads, right, and have a go at this one. Take care, Captain. Jeff, let's see, mate. Good night. Let's see what we could come up with tonight on duty of the Constitution, and why it's your duty and mine. Why do we have a duty to the Constitution? Fucking hell. Off the top of my head. Fucking hell. Wow. Excuse me. What does the word Constitution mean? And it all has to be off the top of my head. Without looking it up. Rightly or wrong. If I get it wrong, I get it wrong, and you can put it in the comments and say, hey, silly cunt, you're wrong. I'll read them later. Unless you're going to join in, I'll fucking talk to you later as well. So, what does the Constitution mean? How can we look at the word Constitution? Can we break it down? Yeah, of course we can. We can break it down into a Constitution of a... Can we do it of the world? Well, not yet. Maybe we can, but I'm not going to get into that one just yet. Fucking hate the globalists. But it don't mean we can't look at it and explore that. And I just may, because something's forming. But for now, we can look at it as a country. A country's constitution. The constitution of a community. family, or even self. So it gives us 4 immediately rather than the 5th, the global, which is weird, isn't it, that it's 5th? Sounds fucking Luciferian to me, and maybe it's why I don't want to fucking look at it like that. Because maybe it just shouldn't be. But it don't mean we can't look at it retrospectively or even other ways to say how it could be viewed or not viewed. Anyway, so constitutionally from a nation first. You will have to excuse me. If not, fuck off. Oh. I'm sorry that happened, lad. But he did. Just be thankful. I didn't show you it. So the constitution of a country, as most people would point straight to America, the West, right? Because you would, wouldn't you? Because it's the land of constitution. It's the land of the free. Well, yeah, it was. And is. And they're desperately trying to cling to it. And yet it's been undermined from every fucking angle. I mean, every angle. Whether we look at the Constitution as global, country, family, community, family, and individual, right, for the 5. Because that's what it meant by the constitutionals. And throughout history, that's how it's always been seen as it's constitutionals. 5. There's a reason for it. Hello. It's that simple. You look at it as the hand. And it's the same with any ideologue. But, well, it doesn't matter what it is. Fascism, communism. There's any ideologue. You can look at religion, whether it's Muslim, Catholicism, fucking Christian, Jewish. They all have 5. That's why a lot of them have a 5-pointed star on their flag. Because it means the 5 points of a hand. Or the 5 points on a human body. Looks like a star. Because it's about the one. Who are they talking about when they turn around and you read a message from the one? Or to the one? Is when it should be looked at much more carefully. And more robustly. So, the Constitution of a country, that all a country should follow equally. The Constitution means its fitness and its health. Its fitness, health, well-being, and how to maintain all of that. Under an ideal of political order that tries to limit its influence upon its people within that country is the ideal. Because once you condemn that country to more and more suffrage, then it certainly does. It suffers and breaks and cannot hold itself together anymore. So the constitution of the country is suffrage. That means to accept that that is stated by the principle of a contract which is outlined. And there's a reason it's only outlined, because it cannot be definite. Each word and everything within the outline can be defined, but it is not defined perfectly for everyone, because that's not possible, or it should not be possible. And once you do, you actually slip into communism, socialism, into equity. Now, that equity defining for all in a finite way is unsufferable. It is not a suffragette. Although you think a suffragette says, we need thingies, rights. No. The suffrage of other people, or all people, under a constitution or ideologue or whatever, yeah, is a state of. Now, we choose our states of suffrage. And how we accept them. Or, not ourselves, but our ancestors did and prepared it for us to live a better life because of the suffrage already stated before. For you, they left clear duties, clear understandings of all that. All you had to do was read it, but you didn't. You didn't read it. Some of you did. Some of you did. Some of you did. I know some. I know some great constitutionalists in America and in England. Now I know there's plenty that pretend to be constitutionalists in America and in England. Not in Scotland, because there are no constitutionalists in Scotland. Neil Oliver, he ain't got a fucking clue about the Constitution. And yet he talks about it. And he talks about it. And our ancient kings and the five kingdoms before that came before the fucking Romans, as though he knows about it. And he also knows about fucking jury nullification. He's full of shit. He doesn't know fuck all about it. And I don't give a fuck how much he's fucking read or learned. He don't know about the five kingdoms. Don't. He knows it from a British attitude, which is fucking wrong, because it's British. Because he's a wanker. At you, Neil. I mean, I quite like the guy, don't get me wrong, and his way. I loved his coast-to-coast stuff, yeah. He did a really good job of it. And it makes a lot of sense even speaking today on GB News and stuff. And he's done some interesting speeches and monologues that I absolutely agree with. I do. But when it comes to the Constitution, he ain't got a fucking clue. He ain't got a clue when jury nullification fucking started. Because you don't understand the judicial system of the kingdoms, the five kingdoms, before the fucking Romans came. Scotland fucking didn't exist for fucking one. Go look up the date for the integration of Scotland. Might be surprised yourself. I'm not going to say. Fucking Scotland. I've got a few Scottish friends that I adore. Promise you. Known them all my life. Well, since I was about 18 and onwards. And to them, as they taught me, I will still offer the same as they offered me. Here's my hand. Here's my heart. Always. That's what I know about Scots. The beautiful people they are. I would take no fucking shit. What happened to you? All I can say about them young people, the English. What the fuck happened to you? But isn't that true around the world? As we've all been manipulated in the last few years. We've all found ourselves thinking the same thing. Trying to come back to hearth and home. Hearth, home, and the stone of the kiln. Do you ken? Okay, I know you fucking do. I know you fucking can. Hey, hello, bunny. How you doing? You good? So, we all feel it. We all know it. We all know it because, like a country, we ourselves have a constitution. Our constitution is the health and well-being of our own self. We apply it to our family. We can see it. We can see it when our partners are drifting or our children. We feel it, we know it, we sense it, we can see it. We don't always understand it, but that takes time and patience spent around the hearth and home. And within the hearth and home, where the constitution of the family is strong, its understanding is known. Here, we find all of the souls within there with the same heart. And we remind them we have that same heart. And from that family's heart, it flows to the community. And in the community where we find that heart and heart spreads out into the wider communities of our country, where we find our ideals, our customs, our traditions joined together in a common union. Is how we create our constitution. And the constitution always comes from the South, on how we, you, choose what's best for you, what's right for you. And this is how the Constitution was created. Now, the earliest Constitution, I might get the date a little bit wrong, but I believe it was 958 under Alfred the Great, when he first wrote into law the rights of the people, their fruits of their labour. And that was the first time under the Constitution that was written into law. Good show tonight, Curious. Enjoyed it. And the chats, there were some really good chats in there. So, if our Constitution came originally from our own hearts and our own common customs, which traverse through our family, our community, into our country, they were common customs. And common customs are our law. That is the birth of the Constitution worldwide. And it happened here, in England first. Not America. Nowhere else. Even today, Scotland doesn't have a constitution. And yet, we signed the Union of Jacob with Scotland and England to create the British. And yet, Scotland didn't get the constitution. What the fuck's wrong there? That's wrong, right? Surely. I mean, the Declaration of Arborough, for fuck's sake. It's the same as the Constitution. Jeez. Read them two and fucking tell me they're the same fucking document. Right. So, why didn't the Scots demand the same rights as an Englishman? What, frightened to see what had happened in fucking America when they did? Don't fucking think so. It was a bit earlier than that, in 1706 to 1776. You had at least, well, an exact 70 years. So what happened then? So why did Scotland get the Declaration of Ober Island? And still today, lie under that, which seems to us as Roman law? Fucking hell, the Picts must be fucking turning in their graves because they never gave up to the fucking Romans. And yet the Scots come along and went, ooh, let's live under that law. Must be fair. Motherfucker. So wrong there, right? Makes you wonder who was them Abrothians. Gonna have to look into that actually. Now I'll look into that. We'll have a discussion about that fucking one and the signing of that crap. You wonder who they were. Well, I guess it was from Arbroath. Why would the Scots sign up to something that was Roman law? They was beaten by a fucking signature which they fucking fought for hundreds of years to fucking say, Romans, fuck off, you're not coming into Ireland. Oh, so it wasn't the Scots, was it? That was the Picts. The Scots that came from later from Scotia, Ireland. Yeah, it's not Ireland, is it? There, there. Still there, buddy? So the Scottish took their constitution from the Ebro, and the English took theirs. Well, that's not finished yet, is it? All we've got at the moment is the fruits of your labour from Alfred the Great. Oh, Ilfred the Great. It's he stuck together, which is a weird thing, especially when you think about the Scots. Because if we look back in history and we see the Scots, right, came from Scotia, but they came from Ireland before they got to Scotland and integrated with the Picts and actually became the representative of the Picts and the Scots tribes as they amalgamated and they became known as Scots because there was something wrong with the word Pict, right? Well, I guess the Scots was picked. Anyway, they originally came from Ireland. And the Scots in Ireland were actually known as Scotia. Hence the Nova Scotia mountains and the New Scotia around the world, especially in the Caledonians in Canada, and you get the idea, right? And mountain ranges and all that crap. Anyway, the Scot, that tramp came from Ireland, who originally weren't from Ireland either. The Scotias, not Scot or Scotty, the Scotias, as in Nova Scotia, right, originally came from Egypt. Now, that's Egypt, but think of an A with an E put together. So you've got the A with the E and the lines of the E, and it's one letter, yeah? So it's not an A. Egypt. Man, that's a whole fascinating subject in itself, which goes into the tarot and meaning the tarot and Egyptians and gypsies and Romanies and Tao, for fuck's sake. That's a massive story, right? Throughout history, right? But for now, we'll say these Egyptians, the Scotia, or the Queen of Scotia, who left Egypt, was the mother of Tutankhamun. Who sailed across to Ireland with their people, many boats, to escape. Was it the Romans or was it those from Carthage, which was constantly battling until the Romans eventually destroyed Carthage, which is Libya, next door to Egypt. They travelled to Ireland and then into England. One England, yes, no, it was England and so one Albion or Alba, which were both known to be ancient times. Fuck the Roman Brittany title, which was disgusting and still is, as far as I'm concerned. Sorry, buddy, if you want to ask a question, you can, sweetie. So let's look at that just for a moment, where the word Britain came from. It wasn't until the Romans came around that anyone in the Isles, the Hebridean, Albion, and Piglet. There were obviously others, the Manx and the Cornwalls. And others, obviously. Fucking hell. You could forget so many when you become so simplified. I don't mean to, but please forgive me. I'll make a list sometime and I'll fucking say it, all of them. But forgive me for now. So the Romans, upon conquering Greece, heard of a land that they didn't believe existed, because no land existed beyond the Pillars of Hercules, right? And the Pillars of Hercules existed between Africa, Jersey, and what we now know as Spain or Portugal, right? Right? So it's a twin stream past Jersey into the Atlantic. So when the Romans first heard about it, the Greeks called it Britannia. Britannia? Didn't quite translate correctly into the Latin. Into the Latin, it became Britain. So when the Romans conquered Albion became Britain under a conquerorship. Just like Iran, Afghanistan was no longer Persia or Turkey, Syria. All of that land was Persia at one time. Still is to many of them. Many of them believe it's Persia, united. Not all of them are divided by faith and that, because the land is Persia. Just like the land here is Albion. And it is. We call it England today. And even that confused. Me, myself, and I believed before. Fuckface, me drunk fuckface, who was absolutely stoned on the mead, called it England, right? Had already seen his home rooted, pillaged by tribes from the northwest. Those from the northwest at the time had laid claim to lands on the west coast of Scotland. And they had come from what we know as the Scandinavians. But these were two different tribes, known as the Inish and the Gaels. These are two well-known tribes that went Viking in. Yeah. I don't believe that's how they saw it at the time. Viking. As far as I'm concerned, that etymologically and theoretically and any other ideologically would seem fucking absolutely ridiculous. Viking. Viking. Sounds like that bank, doesn't it? Ing. With a lion head. Where? The bank of Ing. Fucking hell. Bullshit, right? Don't make sense. So the Inish and the Gaels that came from the Scandinavians took over the west coast of Scotland. And this was not long, well, actually, it was quite long after the Romans had left. But obviously, stories had come backwards and forwards. Already the Saxons built up, right, massively and took over. And now we have the Welsh, right? But the fucking Inish Gaels, man. The Inish Gaels, which were only temporary tribes of the west of Scotland, as they prepared. That's all they was doing, was preparing to move elsewhere. Because the west coast of Scotland is a grand safe haven for anybody that fucking lands there, especially back then. China, you might have a fucking different story, but you know, it's much more modern. You might have a problem, right? There again, the SNP very fucking welcome you. I'm gonna go horribly fucking jokey then, but whoa. Too fucking easy. Give us a minute. But the English Gaels went all fucking barbarian on our ass. Give it. So now came down from the northwest of Scotland, the northwest coast of Scotland, the Inishin Gaels, down through obviously the northwest to the northeast of Albion. Shut up. Right? And which crazy folk priest turned around and says, "Oh, these are the English, rather Inish Gaels." Go away. And I wonder etymologically about the scripture of how he wrote it, whether it would have been Inish Gael rather than English, which is said to be the first time that English was actually written ever by some pompous priest. I think it's much more involving than that, than this one wanker. Who wrote it? Probably around the area of 900 AD. Ugh. Yeah, AD. Not BC, AD. Go fuck yourself if you want to count it in some other foreign fucking Muslim dialect. Go fuck yourself. I'm not putting up with your shit. AD, BC. Fuck off. You can count your Jewish years from added the other 5,000 plus. That's up to you. I can't be arsed with the working out. I've done it a few times. I wrote it down somewhere to keep an eye on it, and I just can't be fucking arsed. It's not how I count. Don't mean it has any relevance in the story, or maybe even in the appreciation of how civilizations came and went. I think it's valid, and it really is. But I don't count like that generally. And off the top of my fucking head, I'm not doing it. So the English girls came down. And apparently some lone fucking priest in the northeast said, "Oh, they're the English. We're the English." Rather the English girl. How about when two tribes don't go to fucking war and they mingle? How about it? Because it seems to me that makes a lot of sense about the fucking English. Or the English. I know. Real diversity of cultures that actually fit together, work together, think together, reason together, can stay together and live strong together. Makes fucking sense. Interesting idea. Probably frowned upon by those in white fucking towers. I'm sure. Not all though, because I believe the original idea came from someone not unlike that. But not widely spoken about, right? Because have you heard about it before? Have you heard that theory before? I wonder. You know, it was on, like I said right at the beginning, it was about this time that Alfred came to power. Alfred the Great. And there's a lot of history before that. Oh, God. From the Five Kings to the unification, the King Canute. The King Canute, or united the five kings. But that consisted of not just the five kingdoms of England, but five kingdoms throughout the Scandinavias. So it was different. So we've got two different histories there about 5 kingdoms uniting under one king instead of 5 kingdoms throughout the Scandinavia, Denmark, Norway, Sweden, under Canute. It's a different thing. So we've got different histories there, which I can't just do off the top of my head. But at this time, all these wars, Inish Gaels comes down from the northwest of Scotland over time. And then one priest says, yeah, it's in Gaelic. In Gaelic. Which says about the tribes integrating. Yeah. I'm going to have to pull that fucking up. And the etymology of that. Because there's some fascinating pieces throughout these documents in history as you read it. Yeah, many people miss it. Yeah, as two becoming one, they miss the unification unless it's specifically laid out in front of them. They miss it. But these integrations were over a long period of time, and not just war, but trade. These lands have been conquered and conquered again. I reckon. But roughly 958. Roughly. So I should have this right in front of me and it's there somewhere, but I'm not looking. It's off the top of it. 958. Alfred the Great turned round and said, and he wrote it into law. Every man deserving of the fruits of his labour. If you work, make, grow, that it is yours to sell and it is your product. It's the produce of your labour and it is all yours. The implications that come from there are fantastic. And in modern times, absolutely fucking abused by the fucking state. The state has not only macerated, it's fucking murdered people. It has tortured, it has dealt fucking blows to the heads of women and children to instill it. Its own taxes upon the fruits of your labour. That should never, ever have been tolerated, as Alfred the Great said. The fruits of your labour are redone. No one else grew, made. They are your hardship for your sale and right. They are yours. How can that be otherwise? Can You know, for a start, the Constitution can't get much better than that, can it? From the fruits of your labor is yours, and you can grow. From your hearth and heart, you can grow with the fruits of your labor. You can grow. And with that growth, all about you, your community can grow in shared trade. And God did it flourish. God did it grow like nothing else. For many, many years, there was nothing added to the Constitution. It was 1058. It was over 100 years before the next part of the Constitution came. 100 years. Which would have been 1066. Or may have actually been a little bit after. But 1066 was the difference. Of addition to the Protea Labour and the Constitution. What would happen in 1066? Obviously, the war is obvious. 1066. The Norman invasion of Saxony, of Albany, or was it England? Or was it? Not to be exact, I'd have to look it up. Yeah, but I believe it was, and that's why Duke of Normandy, William, who was only a duke with France, which is a real pisser for the English, or a duke. Normandy, not France, because France didn't exist at this time. Not quite. It wasn't quite the French yet. The Franks has existed as an area. The Franks existed, but France did not. Not quite. It's close. Yeah. But it's so involving. Correct me if I'm wrong. Put it in the comments. I'll read and evaluate and even apologise if I'm wrong. Better have good proof. Anyway. So, what is it after the fruits of our labour of, and I know this is a photo, now 58. I will find out the definite date and put it in the next chapter. So the next part of the English Constitution. What do you think that might have been? And the biggest part of it was in 1066, the Norman invasion. The Normans winning was where the next part of the Constitution was created. What do you think of it? Anyone? Come on, Bonnie. Put an answer. Or have you gone? Is anybody there? How do I know if anybody's watching anyway? How do I say this shit? Fucking not got a clue. I ain't got a clue right now, right? How many people are watching? At all. Anybody out there watching? Give us a fucking 5 or something in the fucking comments. Please. Anybody watching? Say hi, please. Hello. Well, I'll take it as though there's nobody there. And I'm talking to myself. Which is fine. So the next part of the Constitution was Duke William, who came across to England and claimed the crown from Harold, who was promised the crown from Harold for investments to become king for a short while to sort out a Viking problem. That's very loose. I know people have told that story better, and I'm sure I will when I'll have to rehash it. So, the Duke of Normandy, not Prince, came over and conquered Harold. Harold the Unready. Got a pain in the eye. No, not really. When when he conquered Harold, the fucking at the battle of the fucking what I call it bridge. How are you forgetting this shit now? You had it a moment ago. It's like, yeah. Um, when he stuck an arrow in Harold's eye, won the battle. Actually, there's a more interesting point to this, and this is why it's so important that he wrote the next part of this part of the Constitution into law. And we have to go back just a short while, which was a few months, when the Duke of Normandy landed on English soil. When the Duke of Normandy landed on English soil, he touched the soil, he grabbed it, and he breathed the air. And he said, because now he was free from being hunted, and this is the real reason he said it, to be honest, right? This is the real reason he said it, is because on this land he was no longer hunted by the what would become the French, well, the Franks in Normandy itself, yeah. And was it a Louis, King Louis, who was looking for him, trying to kill him, because he did have a massive claim, but to escape the murderous bands that were looking for him to slay, just like the butts he actually collected in the army he actually collected to go across the sea was quite formidable, especially for a man that was hunted by the king of Normandy. It's quite exceptional, really, when you think about it. But he did, and he landed, and he conquered. But when he landed, and he grasped the land in his hands, and he breathed of fresh air, and no man hunted him on that land. And he had never felt so free in his life because he was always hunted as a child, all the way up to the adult he had become at this time. Constantly hunted, never free. He was only protected by Frenchmen that believed in him and his family and his right of claim. He said, the air is so pure that no man on this land should be slave. That all men should be free as the air he breathed. So, as William won these wars, I mean, King Billy's are renowned throughout our constitution, especially the first and the third. King William the First and King William the Third. These are some of the most prominent kings that laid out our constitution and added to the constitution in such ways that made England what it should be today. It breaks my heart. After all the suffrage. So he, William the First of England, said all men should be. As he wrote the Domesday Book and he collected all the information and he gathered it all together. At the end of it all, he wrote into law that all Englishmen should be free. All Englishmen should be free unless they were a villain. Now, a villain means to owe a debt to a lord or something, or for some reason, is you owe a debt, and that debt has to be paid off, whether through work, which at the time the law said you had to pay off your debt through work, but it could not be more than 75 years. I was going to live that long, right? But that was its maximum. So you couldn't be a slave. You weren't a slave. You were paying off a debt. You were indentured. It's not like this is a different thing to taking on Oh God. What do they call it? An indentured apprenticeship. That's what indentured is to become apprenticed. So William said all men were free unless they were a villain and they owed a debt. And yet they would be slaved until their indenture was paid. Now that's interesting, isn't it? If you're indentured, you're a slave. Many Englishmen afterwards put themselves into self-service slavery as indentured service. That's slavery. That's for debt. Whether it's something you couldn't pay for initially. Say you wanted to learn blacksmith and you indentured yourself to it, you would pay so much because you'd have to have so much to pay, right? And this proved you weren't really a slave because you actually paid for it and then spent years learning the skills of the smith until you were no longer indentured, but yet served your time and become a blacksmith. And that's the same with any smithing or any trade. That's how it used to work. Usually your family would pay for that child to become, as a young, to become in service, or yeah, they paid for them. So no man could be a slave in England. No man by 1066. And it was ingrained in the country from then onwards and ever onwards throughout its history. That's why the English abhor slavery. Indentured servitude, yeah, they can understand that because they was getting something for it, or paying for something. For now, I'm going to leave it. Been nearly 2 hours, and I'm going to leave this little talk. And I'm going to say to you, I'll be in forever. You know, anyone there?